Hello everyone. So today we're going to be working with square roots. Um, we're going to start out with perfect squares and then move on to non-perfect squares because it's going to help us work with some of the more advanced problems we're going to be dealing with today. So let's start with part A. Evaluate the square root of 25. Well, I know that, I understand that in this case, 25 is the same thing as 5 squared. And whenever you have the square root and a square in the same problem, like they're in each other, they cancel out. They're inverses. They it's like multiplication and division cancel each other out, or addition and subtraction cancel each other out. The square root of a squared number, they cancel both operations out, and we're just left with the value of 5. So, continuing on, we have the square root of 144. Now, we might already know what the answer is, but just to be thorough, we can determine that 144 is the same thing as 12 squared. And 12 squared, the square root of 12 squared is just 12. But now we have some larger values, like the square root of 529. Now, we could be very clever and understand that this is the 23 squared, giving us 23 as our answer. But what if we didn't know that? Most of us probably don't. I wouldn't know off the top of my head. So, how can I arrive at that conclusion? Well, I would probably want to pick some numbers that I think are close to 529 and square them. So, one thing off the top of my head is like 20 squared, right? 20 squared is 400. Because, let me think about it. 20 squared. 2 times 2 is 4, so 20 times 20 is 400. That's kind of close to 529, but we're not there yet. 529 is an odd number, which means that I'm probably going to have to pick an odd number when I square something. Now, 21, we could try that, but it's probably going to be too low. And there's a trick when multiplying with 21. It's not really a trick, but if you multiply them, you have to do 1 times. You're always going to have 1 in that 1's digit. And then you do 1 times 2, drop the 0, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and we would get that it's 441. But we could avoid all that trouble by understanding if you multiply two numbers with a 1 in the 1's digit, it has to end in a 1, but this one ends in a 9. So therefore, it's not going to be our number. So let's try the next odd number. How about 23 squared? Well, that seems promising, since 23 times 23, well, that gives us a 9 in the 1's place. 3 times 2 is 6. Drop the 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. We get 9. 6 plus 6 is 12. Add the 1, and we get 529. So that is what we get when we do 23 squared. So we have 23 squared, and the square root of that is just going to be 23. Now, lastly, we have 1600 and the square root of that. The square root of 1600. Well, 1600 kind of gives it away, because we know 4 squared is 16. 16 is a perfect square. And 1600 should make us think, all right, well, 40 times 40 is going to give us 1600. So we have the square root of 40 squared. And that simplifies to just 40. In the next video, we're going to be working with some evaluations where we are not working with perfect squares, and we'll see how that works.